Today's News of Taiwan broadcast, August 6, 2026.
This is the brief on Taiwan's latest morning news. Today we're diving into the August 6th, 2026 TTV broadcast. It's a crucial snapshot, highlighting the razor-thin line between being totally prepared and critically vulnerable. First, Taiwan's Han Kuang 42 military exercises definitely saw some unexpected early hiccups. Over in Chiayi, an F-16 fighter jet skidded right off a wet runway. Fortunately, the pilot is completely fine, with only minor jet damage. But get this, in Taichung, an M60A3 tank literally dropped its escape hatch onto the street because of loose screws. A startled civilian actually had to pick it up. You know, it's kind of like forgetting to tighten the lug nuts on your family car. So are these just first-day jitters or a serious wake-up call for basic military maintenance? Second, while the military battle's ground conditions were facing turbulence from the sky. Typhoon White Dolphin is tracking toward China's Zhejiang province, but it's going to brush past Taiwan, bringing heavy weekend rain up north and in the mountains. It's actually part of a rare 3-typhoon system forming right now, alongside typhoons Jinyu and Chang. You gotta wonder, can our local infrastructure handle 3 simultaneous storm systems swirling in the region? Finally, while we track weather on our radar, Ukraine is tracking a much deadlier storm. Russia just launched a massive drone and missile strike on Kyiv, specifically targeting civilian infrastructure, including a Ukrainian Amazon warehouse. The attack tragically left 17 dead and 44 injured. This exposes severe air defense shortages, happening literally just as Putin announces a dedicated drone unit. It's basically a digital age blitzkrieg where modern commercial delivery hubs are now active front lines. Whether it's securing military hardware, bracing for extreme weather, or monitoring global conflicts, staying vigilant across all fronts is today's ultimate takeaway.
The following is a summary of key news points and details from August 6, 2026. 1. National Defense and Military. Frequent accidents during Han Kuang exercises. F-16 fighter jet runs off runway. On the first day of the Han Kuang 42 exercise, an F-16 fighter jet from Chiayi Air Force Base, while returning to base after a nighttime training exercise, veered off the runway due to slippery runway conditions caused by rain, reducing deceleration efficiency. Fortunately, the pilot was safe, and the aircraft sustained only minor damage. Fighter jet escape door falls into street. In Taichung, during a relocation of an M60A3 tank, a loose mounting bolt caused the driver's escape door to fall onto the road, where it was picked up by passers-by. The military confirmed this was due to human error and has requested a comprehensive review. Tamsui Bridge closure drill. Starting at 8 p.m. tonight, the focus of drills in the Taipei area will shift to the Tamsui Bridge for a closure drill. Southbound traffic from Tamsui to Bali will be completely closed until 6 a.m. the following morning. Point 2. Food safety storm and political battles. Controversy over the Chunglian oils case. The decision-making process regarding the standards for removing carcinogenic oils from shelves has sparked a clash between the KMT and DPP. Legislators questioned whether Deputy Minister of Health and Welfare Shi Chungliang's claim that manufacturers did not attend all expert meetings was a lie, as Food and Drug Administration Director Chang Chi-kong confirmed that manufacturer representatives were present throughout. Chang Chi-kong also admitted that 20% of the removal standards were decided by him personally after listening to suggestions. Taiwan Sugar sues upstream supplier. Affected by the Chunglian oils case, Taiwan Sugar stated that its reputation has been severely damaged, with losses from product removals alone reaching 243 million new Taiwan dollars. It has commissioned lawyers to formally sue its upstream supplier, Fumai Company, seeking compensation. President Lai Ching-te launches a scathing critique of Mayor Liu Xiaoyan. In his capacity as DPP chairman, President Lai Ching-te singled out Taichung Mayor Liu Xiaoyan at a Central Standing Committee meeting, criticizing Taichung's poor performance and accusing it of becoming a loophole in food safety and African swine fever control. He stated that Liu's performance was far inferior to that of Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Chi-mai and other mayors in central Taiwan. Descendants of a long-established soy sauce brand suspected of altering labels, the fourth generation of the Jinlan soy sauce family and their wife, who founded a kombucha brand, were found by prosecutors to have employees altering expiration dates. The Taoyuan District Prosecutor's Office has indicted them for fraud and violating the Food Safety Act, and has recommended a severe sentence. 3. Public order and judicial decisions. Brawl on Yizhong Street, Taichung. A group brawl erupted at a well-known bubble tea shop on Yizhong Street due to a debt dispute. Suspects used sticks to smash the windshields of the other party's vehicles, injuring 2 people who were hospitalized. Police subsequently arrested 6 suspects and transferred them for investigation. Verdict in the case of pushing down and killing a volunteer bus driver. 4 years ago, a worker surnamed Zhou in Taipei City, dissatisfied with traffic control, forcibly pushed down and dragged a volunteer bus driver surnamed Huang, causing severe injuries that left him in a vegetative state, and he died a year later. The National Court yesterday sentenced Zhou to 10 years and 4 months in prison for obstructing official duties resulting in death. Daughter of a high-ranking police officer becomes an accomplice in fraud. A woman surnamed Wu, in urgent need of money, provided her ATM card to a fraud ring and was sentenced to 5 months in prison. Surprisingly, her mother is the current head of the Cine precinct in Taipei City, and her father is Wu Jingtian, the former head of the Taichung City Police Department. Case of repaying kindness with enmity and killing the boss. A rehabilitated man in Kaohsiung, taken in as a handyman by his boss, stabbed his boss in the neck with a utility knife after being refused a loan, and then chased after the boss's wife and child. The judge sentenced him to 9 years and 6 months in prison for attempted murder, but the victim's family believes the sentence is too lenient. A heartwarming story of an innocent section chief, Chu Chengtso, a section chief at the Taipei City Transportation Bureau, was reported for having 640,000 new Taiwan dollars in unexplained funds in his account. An investigation revealed that 17 years ago, he had personally paid for medical expenses to help victims of national compensat.
4. Weather updates. 3 typhoons coexisting and the threat of Typhoon Baihaidin. Typhoon Baihaidin, its path continues to shift westward and is expected to move towards Hejiang, China. The Central Weather Bureau does not rule out issuing a maritime typhoon warning on Friday afternoon, August 7th. During the Father's Day weekend, northern and central mountainous areas will experience heavy rain or torrential rain due to the outer circulation of the typhoon, while the Hualien and Taitung areas should be aware of phone winds and high temperatures. 3 typhoons surrounding Taiwan, in addition to Baihaidin, Typhoon number 14 Goldfish and Typhoon number 15 Whale have formed in succession, creating a situation of 3 typhoons coexisting. However, currently, the main impact on Taiwan is from Baihaidin. 5. Financial and livelihoods news. Foreign exchange reserves and foreign capital outflows. Foreign exchange reserves stood at $599.4 billion at the end of July, a decrease of $2.8 billion from the previous month. The main reason was profit-taking by foreign investors and the strong dividend payouts, resulting in a monthly outflow of $28 billion, forcing the central bank to intervene. U.S. stocks hit record high. The Dow Jones Industrial Average surged 263 points to close at 54,349, setting a new record. Ice eating triggers dialysis. A chronic kidney disease patient suffered acute kidney injury after consuming brown sugar shaved ice at a market, suspected to be due to unclean ingredients. He nearly died from sepsis. Doctors remind kidney patients to be aware of the potassium and phosphorus ions and hygiene risks associated with ice products. Restaurant industry offers high recruitment bonuses. Facing labor shortages, a well-known chain restaurant is offering a referral points system, with the employee accumulating the highest points throughout the year potentially receiving a referral bonus of up to $1 million. 6. International focus. Russia-Ukraine war airstrikes. The Russian military launched one of the deadliest airstrikes of the year against Ukraine, targeting e-commerce warehouses and supermarket logistics centers, resulting in 17 deaths and 44 injuries. Putin also announced the formal establishment of a drone unit. Tokyo Haneda Airport near collision. An All Nippon Airways passenger plane carrying 197 people nearly collided with a government test aircraft during landing, with the two aircraft at one point only 30 meters apart. Fortunately, the collision avoidance system issued a timely warning, and the pilots pulled up and made a go-around to avoid a tragedy. South Korea heat wave. South Korea experienced temperatures exceeding 36 degrees Celsius for a week, with the temperature of the baseball stadium grass soaring to 75.7 degrees Celsius, leading to the cancellation of many games. This summer, a total of 19 people have died due to the heat wave, and the government has classified the heat wave as a national disaster.
You know, if you look at what's trending online this week, there is this bizarre resurgence of clips from a 1999 retro Taiwanese docudrama. I think it's called Rose and Peony.
Oh, yeah, Rose and Peony. It is, it's something else.
Right. We're like a hyper-dramatic, like Hitchcockian zoom lenses, these super intense voiceovers, and just absolute off-the-wall melodrama.
Yeah, it's the kind of television where, like, every minor disagreement ends with a dramatic gasp and a camera zooming uncomfortably close to someone's face. It's pure spectacle.
I get that, but wait, why are people suddenly obsessing over vintage Taiwanese TV right now? Like, is it just a nostalgia thing, or are they mocking the melodrama?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely the latter. Honestly, people are probably sharing it as a coping mechanism, you know.
A coping mechanism for what?
For reality. Because frankly, if you look at the actual news today, the factual events we're living through require zero dramatic zoom lenses to be absolutely wild.
That is so true. I mean, when you lay out that massive stack of recent news reports you shared with us for this deep dive, and we're ranging from, like, local street incidents all the way to global geopolitical shifts, a really clear, very distinct theme emerges.
Exactly. Systems under stress.
Systems under stress, yeah. The real world is currently out-dramatizing fiction because the frameworks holding it together are just, well, they're fracturing.
They really are. And today, for everyone listening, we are going to explore how that stress breaks down human emotions, how it causes mechanical fail-safes to collapse, how it erodes societal trust, and finally, how these huge macro environmental forces are pushing literally everything to the brink.
Okay, let's unpack this. But before we jump into the deep end, I just want to give a quick reminder for you listening. We are reviewing factual news reports from a wide variety of sources today.
Right, multiple sources.
So when it comes to the political controversies and the battles we'll be discussing, we want to be crystal clear. We remain entirely impartial. We aren't taking sides. We aren't endorsing any viewpoints. We are simply reporting the claims exactly as they were laid out in the original source material. I mean, we're here to understand the systems, not play politics.
Yeah, the lens we're using today is purely analytical. We are looking at cause, effect, and mechanism.
Okay, so let's start with the most volatile, unpredictable system of all human beings.
Oh, boy. Yes.
Specifically, how our individual emotional systems break down under pressure.
Right.
Because we have a report here about a late-night brawl at a really popular bubble tea shop. This was on Taichung's Yizhong Street.
Right, I read that one.
And what started as a seemingly like simple debt dispute ended with people wielding baseball bats.
Yeah.
There was a completely smashed car windshield, 2 people injured and hospitalized, and 6 suspects arrested after fleeing the scene.
Over bubble tea. I mean, theoretically over a debt, but at a bubble tea shop.
Exactly. And honestly, people have debt disputes all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does a minor financial issue escalate into a literal gang fight in the middle of the night?
Well, what you're seeing there is it's a cascading breakdown of cognitive fail-safe.
Cognitive fail-safes, like in the brain.
Yeah. Under sudden stress, or even just a perceived threat, the human brain undergoes what's often called an amygdala hijack.
An amygdala hijack.
Okay, right. So the prefrontal cortex, which is, the logical, forward-thinking part of your brain that actually calculates long-term consequences, it essentially gets bypassed entirely.
So logic just goes out the window.
Completely offline. And the amygdala, which handles our primitive fight or flight response, just takes complete control of the wheel.
But hold on. I mean, everyone gets mad. We all experience sudden anger in our daily lives. Why doesn't every single argument end with baseball bats and smashed cars?
Because usually your prefrontal cortex steps back in and says, wait, smashing that windshield is going to put me in jail.
Right. It pumps the brakes.
Yeah, exactly. But under prolonged systemic stress, so maybe that's economic pressure, maybe it's lack of sleep, or just ambient social tension, that logical override is severely weakened. And unfortunately, this neurological failure connects directly to a much darker, really tragic outcome reported in our sources.
Yeah. You're talking about the case of the traffic controller.
Yes, the Zhu Zimin case.
I was reading this, and it is just devastating. So 4 years ago, Zhu, who is a construction worker, was he was frustrated by traffic control on a road project.
Right, just everyday traffic frustration.
Right. But in a momentary loss of emotional control, he violently pushed a 64-year-old traffic controller. The elderly man hit his head on the ground, suffered skull fractures, brain hemorrhaging, and fell into a vegetative state. And then he passed away over a year later.
It's awful. And this is where the legal system has to step in, acting as the ultimate societal failsafe when the internal emotional system catastrophically fails.
His internal brakes didn't work.
Right. But it is one of the hardest things the justice system has to do, honestly. Quantifying a momentary lapse in judgment, a split-second push against a permanent, lethal consequence.
So how did the courts even navigate that? How do you put a number on that?
Well, the national judges ultimately sentenced Zhu to 10 years and 4 months in prison.
Wow. Over 10 years.
Yeah. But the severity of that sentence wasn't just about the push itself. It was heavily influenced by his behavior afterward.
Oh, really? Like, what did he do?
Well, he completely denied guilt. He refused to offer any compensation to the victim's widowed wife and 2 young children. And on top of that, investigators noted a history of poor emotional management.
Oh, I see.
So the law isn't just punishing the outcome, right? It's actively punishing the failure of the individual to regulate their own internal systems.
That makes a lot of sense. But, you know, when you take that failure of emotional control, that primal anger, and you scale it up to a national level while completely removing the human element, well, you get modern warfare.
You really do.
The latest sources out of Ukraine show how warfare is actively trying to stress a nation's systems until they just snap.
Yeah, we are seeing a terrifying evolution there right now. Russia recently launched this massive coordinated drone and missile strike on an Amazon warehouse in Kiev.
An Amazon warehouse.
Yeah. We are talking about 17 people killed and 44 injured. They aren't just targeting military bases anymore. They are hitting e-commerce, logistics centers, postal sorting stations.
Because if you destroy the civilian infrastructure, you paralyze the country from the inside out.
Right.
You starve the system.
Exactly. And Ukraine's defensive systems are really buckling under the stress. I mean, their Patriot missiles are severely depleted at this point.
Right. And I saw that in direct response to this, Vladimir Putin just announced the creation of a dedicated military drone unit.
Yes. Which fundamentally changes the face of modern combat.
Yeah.
It basically replaces the unpredictable, emotional human soldier on the front line with relentless, remote-controlled mechanical stress.
Right, because you don't have to worry about a drone experiencing an amygdala hijack, do you?
No, not at all.
Or refusing an order, or feeling bad. It just executes.
Exactly.
But, you know, that assumes the machines actually work.
Well, there is that.
We're removing humans from the front line because human emotions are volatile, right?
Yeah.
And we put all this blind faith in machines to be cold and calculating and perfect. But when those mechanical fail-safes buckle, things get terrifyingly absurd.
Oh, you're talking about the military drills.
Yes. Look at the Han Kuang 42 military exercises in Taiwan. Now, this is a massive, highly choreographed drill meant to showcase total readiness.
Right. They had this huge Danjiang Bridge blockade drill planned, simulating how they defend against a blockade.
But the actual physical machines just didn't cooperate at all.
Yeah.
On the very first day, an F-16 fighter jet skidded right off a wet runway in GI.
Which is terrifying, though. Fortunately, the pilot was totally safe.
Right, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But then in Taichung, an M60A3 tank was rolling down a public street and it just dropped its massive escape hatch onto the asphalt.
Dropped it. That is a piece of solid armor weighing over 100 kilograms.
100 kilograms. A civilian literally had to flag down the military convoy to tell them, like, hey, you dropped a piece of your tank back there.
It's almost comical if it wasn't so serious.
And the official cause? Loose screws. I mean, we treat these military machines like they are invincible titanium vaults, but really they're like ultra-expensive Swiss watches.
That's a great way to put it.
If one microscopic gear is out of alignment, the whole watch stops ticking. Or in this case, a 100-kilo door falls onto the street. Why are these advanced systems so fragile?
Well, what's fascinating here is a concept in systems engineering known as tight coupling.
Tight coupling, what does that mean?
Basically, in highly complex advanced systems like a fighter jet or a heavily armored tank, components are designed to be incredibly interdependent for maximum efficiency.
Okay.
But that means there's zero slack in the system. Imagine dominoes, right? But they're glued together. If one falls, it instantly pulls down the rest. A tiny failure, like a loose screw or a slick patch of tarmac, instantly cascades into a critical failure.
It's like finding a loose screw on your IKEA bed frame. Except this bed frame in a multi-ton armored tank driving on a public road.
Exactly.
And if we want to talk about zero slack and catastrophic cascades, I was literally sweating just reading the source material about the aviation near miss at Tokyo's Haneda Airport.
Oh, that incident is the ultimate example of protocol and mechanical systems clashing in real time.
Set the scene for us. What happened?
So an ANA passenger flight with 197 people on board was coming in for a landing. At the exact same time, an inspection plane, which is nicknamed the White Doctor, and ironically exists to check the safety of navigation systems, was crossing its path.
And the ANA flight had to pull up so aggressively to avoid a collision. The vertical distance between these two planes at their closest point was 30 meters.
30 meters.
That is less than the wingspan of a commercial jet. That is absolutely nothing in the sky. How does air traffic control let that happen?
Well, the scary part is they didn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah. The human air traffic controllers were actually in the process of communicating, but the mechanical systems had to take over.
Oh, wow.
The airborne collision avoidance systems, these automated mechanical fail-safes, hardwired into the planes, they detected the fatal trajectory and essentially overrode the human protocols to force the evasive maneuver.
So the plane just took over.
Yes. It's a chilling reminder that our hyper-advanced travel networks are ultimately hanging by a thread, completely at the mercy of a momentary miscommunication.
So if tightly coupled mechanical systems can't be trusted not to drop tank parts on a highway, and human air traffic control can be overridden by a panicked algorithm, I mean, we usually fall back on societal protocols, right? We trust the people running the institutions.
Right, the social contract.
But what happens when that societal trust is intentionally hacked?
Well, the sources present a very cynical picture of systemic exploitation right now. We are seeing deception at literally every level of society.
Starting right at the corporate level. The Investigation Bureau caught 18 cases in just 2 months of Chinese companies illegally poaching Taiwanese high-tech talent.
That's a massive systemic drain of intellectual property.
It is. And then on a personal, localized level, I was reading this story about a police family, and it sounds like a script for a bad soap opera.
Oh, you're referring to the Condor Heroes case.
Yes. You have a former Taichung police chief and a current precinct chief mother. They are locally famous, literal crime-fighting icons, right?
Yeah, a real legacy family in law enforcement.
And their 29-year-old daughter was just sentenced to 5 months in prison for acting as a fraud mule for a 180,000 NTD scam.
It's unbelievable.
Her parents spent their entire lives enforcing the justice system, and their own daughter exploited it for quick cash.
We also see this deception infiltrating the food supply, which is perhaps the most intimate system we interact with on a daily basis.
Yeah, you have to trust your food.
Exactly. But the heirs to the famous Kimlin soy sauce empire were recently indicted. They were allegedly instructing their employees to physically alter the expiration dates on their kombucha products.
Just to meet client shipment deadlines. They were literally rewriting reality to game the corporate system.
Precisely. And in another food safety alert from the sources, a batch of premium camellia oil was recalled because it contained 3 times the legal limit of the carcinogen benzo.
Or within times the limit of a carcinogen.
Yeah. When the systems designed to protect our food, our finances, and our technology are corrupted from the inside by the very people running them, it creates this profound ambient societal stress. You just start assuming everyone is gaming the system.
You really do. It makes you incredibly cynical. But here's where it gets really interesting, because I'm looking at this next report about Zhu Chenzhuo, who is a Taipei Department of Transportation official. And at first glance, he looks like just another corrupt bureaucrat. He was investigated by anti-corruption authorities for bribery because a mysterious, unexplained deposit of 640,000 NTD suddenly appeared in his bank account.
And I mean, to any automated auditing algorithm, a sudden massive cash injection into a public official's account triggers every red flag.
Of course it does.
It is the textbook mathematical signature of a bribe. The software did exactly what it was programmed to do.
Right. But then investigators actually looked into where the money came from, and the truth is honestly breathtaking. Can you explain what the investigators actually found here?
It's an amazing story. So, 7 years ago, a poorly built bus stop collapsed in Taipei. When engineers checked the wreckage, they found the foundation was only 60 centimeters deep.
And it's legally required to be, what, 120?
Exactly, 120 centimeters, so it was half as deep as it should have been. The collapse crushed 2 women, causing severe injuries and shattered bones. They sued for state compensation, but bureaucratic systems move incredibly slowly. While they were waiting, facing total financial ruin from these mounting hospital bills, Zhu, the official who was handling their case, quietly paid their medical bills out of his own pocket.
He just fronted the money. A civil servant risking his own savings for complete strangers.
Exactly. And that 640,000 NTD bribe that triggered the anti-corruption software?
Yeah.
It was just those 2 women 7 years later finally receiving their state compensation and wiring him the money to pay him back for his kindness.
That is just incredible. But it's also terrifying, you know? He almost went to jail for being a good person.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a profound flaw in the systems we build to govern ourselves.
How so?
Our anti-corruption algorithms, our auditing protocols, they are specifically trained on baselines of human greed. They look for anomalies based on selfish behavior. They literally lack the parameters to compute pure human altruism.
Wow. So to a machine trained on a cynical world, a selfless, anonymous act of saving someone from ruin mathematically looks exactly like a felony.
That's exactly right.
That is a staggering thought, an algorithm flagging kindness as corruption. Because it's so rare it registers as an anomaly.
Right.
But honestly, our algorithms can't compute altruism because they're trained to monitor a high-stress, highly competitive environment.
Right.
And when you look at the political and economic climate right now, that stress is everywhere. The macro forces dictate how all these smaller systems behave.
Yeah. Let's begin with the political climate. The reports highlight a deeply stressed, gridlocked environment.
And as a reminder, again, we're simply reporting the political events as stated in our sources without taking any position.
Yes, strictly impartial.
But right now, there's a fierce political battle over food safety standards. The pan-blue and pan-green camps are fighting over who exactly set the 20% recall threshold for adulterated oil.
And it's getting messy.
Very. The FDA director and the Ministry of Health and Welfare deputy minister actually contradicted each other publicly regarding whether manufacturer representatives were present during the decision-making meetings.
Meanwhile, you've got the state-run Taichung suing their supplier for 243 million NTD in damages over the reputational hit they took from a totally separate contamination scare.
And the political stress isn't just about high-level policy either. It's playing out in these bizarre, hyper-local ways. Like in Taipei, a DPP candidate, Xin Paoyang, accidentally signed his name on a wall at a night market directly over the signature of the KMT mayor, Chen Wanan.
Over a signature on a wall.
Yes. And this instantly sparked a massive online review war between supporters.
Which is really a perfect microcosm of political gridlock, isn't it?
Right.
Both sides expended massive amounts of energy and anger, and the end result was the shop owner simply painting over both signatures in white just to stop the harassment.
Just erased it all.
All that friction, ending in a blank wall.
And down in Taichung, President Lai Ching-te heavily criticized Mayor Liu Xiaoyan's administration, labeling the city a key swing state that he intends to flip in the next election. The political temperature is just incredibly high across the board.
It really is.
But all of this political gridlock has real-world economic consequences. Legislators are having to change the rules just to keep businesses afloat.
We see that clearly with the Energy Management Act 2.0. The government just relaxed its strict environmental regulations for large electricity users.
Right, which seems counterintuitive if you care about the environment.
Well, the new rules will now only apply to new or expanding users, grandfathering in existing heavy consumers, and exempting them from immediate compliance.
I was wondering why they would roll back those protections.
Yeah.
But if you look at the labor market sources, it makes total sense. Businesses are being squeezed to death.
Exactly.
The service industry is experiencing such a severe labor shortage that one restaurant chain is offering a massive 1 million NTD referral bonus for employees who recruit new staff.
1 million NTD just to find a worker.
When margins are that squeezed by human labor costs, the government basically has to relax energy regulations just to prevent businesses from collapsing.
It's a total domino effect. And on a macro level, Taiwan's foreign exchange reserves dipped slightly to $599.4 billion US dollars, largely due to foreign investors remitting their dividends.
Right.
And geopolitically, we are tracking negotiations between Iran and Oman over the Strait of Hormuz. Any closure or restriction there would send massive shockwaves through global shipping and oil prices, which would, instantly raise the cost of electricity.
Which completely undoes whatever relief the Relaxed Energy Act provided in the first place.
Exactly. Everything is so deeply interconnected.
But, all of this political and economic stress feels a little abstract until you compare it to the literal climate. The physical weather systems are going completely haywire.
Oh, definitely. We are looking at a highly unusual meteorological event right now. 3 simultaneous typhoons in the region?
White Dolphin, Jinyu, and Chang. 3 spinning at once.
Yeah. Now, White Dolphin is bypassing Taiwan, but it is pulling in massive amounts of heavy rain. Meanwhile, just a bit further north, South Korea is experiencing a nightmare scenario.
It sounds awful.
They've declared a national disaster over a 38 degrees Celsius heat wave.
Which has resulted in 19 deaths so far.
Yes. The ambient heat is so severe that they actually had to cancel professional baseball games because the artificial turf on the field heated up to 75.7 degrees Celsius.
That is insane. 75.7 degrees.
That is hot enough to cause second-degree burns through a player's shoes.
Well, this raises an important question then. How does a macro event like a national heat wave translate into micro personal danger? Because the sources give us a very specific, very alarming medical case. I read about this shaved ice incident and it completely blew my mind.
Yeah, it perfectly illustrates how environmental stress causes internal system failure.
Right, so a 65-year-old man sought relief from the crushing heat. He went to a traditional market and bought a single bowl of black sugar shaved ice.
A totally normal human response to a heat wave, right?
Exactly. However, he had stage 4 kidney disease.
Yes, and that changes everything.
Like, we worry about typhoons, global shipping lanes shutting down, multi-million-dollar tank failures. But for this man, the most dangerous system failure today was hiding inside a bowl of shaved ice. How is that even physiologically possible?
Well, when you have stage 4 kidney disease, your nephrons, which are the microscopic filtering units in your kidneys, they are barely functioning. They're at the absolute limit of their capacity.
Okay, so they're already stressed.
Highly stressed. And a large bowl of traditional shaved ice often contains ingredients like red beans, mung beans, and peanuts.
Right, the classic toppings.
Yes, which are incredibly high in potassium.
Which a healthy kidney just filters out and you pee away.
Exactly. But a compromised kidney cannot excrete that sudden spike in potassium. It builds up rapidly in the bloodstream, a condition called hyperkalemia. And hyperkalemia can instantly disrupt the electrical signals of the heart, triggering fatal cardiac arrhythmias.
Oh, wow. So his heart just starts misfiring.
Yes. Add to that the massive influx of fluid from the melting ice itself.
Oh, because it's a huge bowl of water, basically.
Right. A failing kidney can't process a sudden liter of water, leading to rapid fluid overload, which causes swelling around the heart and literally fills the lungs with fluid.
That is terrifying.
And finally, traditional market ice can sometimes harbor bacteria if it isn't stored at perfect temperatures. For a healthy person, it's a slight stomachache.
But for him?
For him, the combination of a potassium spike, immediate fluid overload, and potential bacterial infection completely overwhelmed his renal system, causing acute kidney injury. He nearly required permanent dialysis just to survive the afternoon.
All from trying to cool down with a bowl of ice. It just shows how delicate the balance of our physical bodies really is.
It really does.
So what does this all mean for you listening? We've looked at emotional breakdowns over bubble tea, military jets skidding off runways, algorithms failing to understand kindness, and human organs shutting down from a summer dessert.
It means that human civilization is essentially a towering stack of interdependent systems, and there is very little slack left in any of them.
No room for error.
Right. Emotional systems govern our immediate actions. Mechanical fail-safes govern our physical safety in the sky and on the roads. Societal trust and legal algorithms govern our interactions and economy. And the macro environment governs everything else.
And when extreme stress is applied, whether it's a sudden surge of anger, a wet runway, a volatile election, or a 38-degree heat wave, those systems reveal their hidden fractures.
Exactly. To navigate a world this tightly coupled, we have to stay deeply informed, pay attention to the micro details, and above all, never lose our capacity for critical thinking.
You really have to look past the surface level of everything. Which brings me back to that incredible story about the transportation official, Zhu, who paid the medical bills out of pocket for those injured women.
Yeah, that's the one that really sticks with you.
It does. And I want to leave you, our listener, with this thought. If a highly advanced, multi-million-dollar automated system almost ruined a man's life, By flagging an act of pure generosity as a criminal bribe, what other acts of invisible human kindness are currently being flagged as errors by the algorithms running our modern lives?
It's a great question.
Maybe the real world has always been more complex and occasionally more beautiful than the melodrama we see on our screens. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you, and we'll see you next time.